You ready, Nick? You want to say it for me? Go ahead.
Yep.
No, come on. You did it better than I was going to do it. It was sarcastic, though. It's an 01 Ford Taurus. And the check engine light's on, but you don't really need to see that. And it has the 3-liter just push rod engine, 4-valve. And I have the 340 cam position sensor circuit fault. So these are really not that complicated, but I actually want to play around with my new tool and try the glitch catch function or whatever the heck you call it. But the camshaft position sensor is, I'll get a better picture of it when I pull it apart, but it's down underneath the throttle body, underneath the wiring harness. You can see I have it back probed down under there, and I have a wire coming up here to do my testing, and it tells you a little bit on the Vantage. It's a magnetic pulse generator, so I guess there's a 3-wire system or a 2-wire system. Mine is the 2-wire system. So if I go to my tests, signature test, and it shows me that I should just be seeing a sine wave for, you know, my signal. So we'll start it up and show you what I have. Alright, so the car's running, check engine light's still on, but if you look at, I do have kind of a sine wave going on here, but if you look at my amplitude, my voltage here, I even had to, it put me on the 10 volt scale. I even had to move my trigger down to even catch that. And if you look at it, it's like maybe 2 volts, 2.5 volts I was seeing, just guessing. And usually I'm seeing, you know, 5 volts or more on a AC sign for the computer to see it. But what I wanted to do is I wanted to try this, because you can see on the regular red LED mode, you're just going to see your voltage and your ground. And then if you put it on the blue mode, I think that's how you can load a circuit, which I haven't messed with yet, so I'll do that sooner or later. But if you hold it one more time and you get it to flash, what you're checking here is, if I go to battery positive, alright, so on the glitch function, if I were to touch battery positive, you see I have 14.2 volts. So, and every time you hit the button, it'll refresh if you have a signal circuit. So if I were to test the signal circuit of the cam sensor that I already have hooked up to the Vantage, and I'll put it in line here, and you can see I showed 1.2 volts. Every time I touch it, depending on where it is in the waveform, you're going to see, but for the most part I'm getting 1.5 volts. So there's a low end there. So from this standpoint, 1.3, 1.5 volts I don't think is enough for the computer to see. Usually I'm seeing 5 volts or more on one of these circuits, so I have one coming, and I'll pull some stuff apart so you can see it a little bit better, and we'll compare the after repair signals. Alright, before I take it apart any further, I took the 2 bolts that hold the throttle cable and the cruise control cable, took that out of the way. There's a coolant pipe here, but you don't really lose much coolant at all. Just make sure you depressurize the system if you had it running like me. But there is the camshaft position sensor on top of a little mini distributor, and it comes as a whole unit with the distributor gear and all that. So they showed a listing for just the sensor body, but it was like $150 and it wasn't available, and the sensor itself with the whole distributor drive and all that was like $60. So you can see where I have it back probed, and you need to, this is a timing thing, so you need to have the engine at top dead center, compression, and there's a tool. So I'm going to take the cover off and we'll take a look at that. Alright, there it is. You take the two 5.5mm bolts out, and you can see there's probably a permanent magnet right there, and when that little, I guess the angle you're looking at it about 9 o'clock there, you see that little, on the shaft on the inside, there's a raised just piece of metal that'll keep going by this magnet and create that AC voltage. So now I'm going to set the timing to top dead center compression, and it's saying on the, have a chart here on how to replace it and check it, but it's saying that the synchro positioner should point at 38 degrees from the center line, and it gives you a kind of a ballpark picture of where everything should be pointing. And there's a little tool, so I believe I have this tool somewhere, so we'll go grab that and set it up. Alright, so here's the, well, it's not even new, it's a remanufactured one, so I guess some of them come with the tools. I actually had an old tool here from the older 3 liter and 4 liters, and it sets down in there, and the little tab on this part goes in the window where the sensor goes. It's hard with one hand. A lot of good that's doing right now. But if you turn this, it'll go in. Alright, that was too hard to do with one hand. So there's 3 different tools, and mine didn't come with, some of the new ones actually come with a tool, but this one will work. If you put the tool, you can see the window here, and you can see there's a like a raised part here that'll fit down in there, and then there's this half moon part. So if you put it down in there to where it snaps, then it's going to only turn so far and stop on either side with the tool I have. So if I turn it counterclockwise and then I pull this out, you can see that my, metal, the inside part that hits the magnet and makes the signal is lined up with the leading edge, because when the engine's running, it's rotating clockwise. So I put this tool in, I turn it counterclockwise till it hit, and it's at the leading edge. If we were going clockwise is where it lines up. So if I show you on the car, because I'm wasting too much time here, I usually just put a paint mark on there. I turn the engine over. I could not find any timing marks easily, so put a paint mark. I put the tool in and I stopped it there, but I also put the paint mark for orientation, and you can see 180 degrees off of that is where the sensor opening is to snap that in. So we'll pull that out and we'll make sure everything's back where it was, and then we'll check the voltages. Alright, one thing you want to make sure of when you pull this out, this is the oil pump drive gear. There's a shaft that runs down into the oil pump and that gets driven off of here, so you want to make sure that doesn't come out with it, but then you're gonna have to line everything back up. And whenever I pulled it out, you know, I had it lined up with this one 180 from there at the leading edge, and when you pull it out, it's going to rotate just like any other distributor would when you're trying to line it up. So this is about pretty much, it came out like that. So I'll try to set it this way, and when I push it in, it should go right back into where my timing is, and then we can turn this to put it right back where it was. So there's Nick calling the parts store, because when we were looking it up, there was a stepped and non-stepped connector, and we didn't know what the heck that meant. So there is the stepped one, it looks like. See, there's that little ridge in there, and the terminals are actually a little bit wider. And then the non-stepped, the one I pulled out, there's that ridge is not in there, and my connector will not plug into the new one. So now we're going to sit here for a while and see if we can get the right one. Alright, so what you're going to do is put the sensor in, and it's not going to quite line up. It's like an old small block distributor where you pull the distributor out and the oil pump turns a hair. So the important part is where the tab lines up with the body of the unit, and to make sure that over here where the sensor cutout is, so you can plug it in. So you put the distributor slash cam sensor shaft in, and then you put the tool in, and you line this tool up. If I can do this while I'm, get it to snap in right, and then turn it clockwise until the inner shaft stops on the tool, and then at that point you can tighten the shaft up. And what you'll see is I'm a little bit off of my paint mark, but the internal of the sensor and the body is lined up to the notch on the leading edge like it was before. So that's the key element, as long as you don't turn the engine over with this thing out. So let's put it all back together and see what we got. Alright, this has been a fiasco. Keep getting parts that are wrong, or parts, the second set that came up, it was actually must have been bagged someone, I don't know what happened, but parts, the tool was missing. Advanced sent me the one that had the wrong connector, and Napa sent me one that was supposed to have a tool, and when I took it out of the box, it did not have the tool. And the sensor was like a Chinese sensor, and this was bagged in a different, like someone ordered it and then took the tool and put their wrong stuff back in, but the width of the sensor wouldn't fit down in the slot, so I had to return that and get a third one. And now that I got the tool, we realized that there's 2 or 3 different tools to line these up. So the one that I had, the one that I was using, was, I think, for an older Hall effect style, so it was a 3-wire. And if you take, I'm just going to draw a quick picture, the inside of the distributor, instead of having, you know, just with the little window piece that moves around, the inside of the distributor actually had a half moon window that would pass through. The sensor would have it was like a Hall effect, so you'd have the plug here and you'd have a gap in the middle where it would go through. so it was, you know, you'd actually get a digital square wave through it. And since mine is an AC style, it's this one. So in all honesty, I was going to edit all this out and do it right the first time, but this is a shop and it's an old car and this kind of stuff happens. So that's one of the reasons I like painting things and just marking what I'm doing, especially with timing belts, all that kind of stuff, because I can't find the mark on the pulley for #1 top dead center. The only thing in Mitchell is showing is the timing gears with dots on the chain and all that stuff. And Nick here in the shop Googled it and everybody's complaining about where do you find them. So in all reality, I could use the tool that I used to line this up and I could put it back in exactly the way. That's the old one, I put it back in. So I'm showing you, I have the paint mark lined up and I have my little tab at the leading edge of the slot, like I said before. So I could just use my tool, the one that I had, and I could put it in here and put my tool in there and line it up exactly. So like I said, I could use the tool that I had, which is the half moon style, and I could put it in and I could, you know, see with this one it'll actually turn, so I could be out pretty far. But if I line it up, turn it all the way counterclockwise looking at it, then you're gonna see I'm lined up where. So I could use this and I could put it back in and the car would be in time because it's the way it came out. I never rotated the crankshaft, but since there is a tool, I suppose I'll just do it right. And even the data is misleading on here, because this tool's only going to fit in one way. So you have the slot here that'll fit over top of that, and then this doesn't turn at all. So then you're confident. So that's pretty cool. But now I'm probably 180 out on the car. So I'm gonna, now that I have the original one back in the way it was, I'm gonna just turn it over and we'll line it up right, just because I have the tool. But what's misleading is if you look at, even if you look at the Mitchell, and it's telling me, you know, it should be 38 degrees off of the center line of the vehicle or the engine, which is where I was at, and then they show the tool with, you know, there's an arrow on the old one and there's an arrow on the new one with the slots, and they show it with the hold down bolt, if I don't know if I'm holding that right, show with the hold down bolt in the back, which is where I was at, which is nowhere near where any of this stuff lines up. So come on, man, I'm filming.
I know you're
Go ahead, man, say something, Clark.
quit bullshit. Just fix the damn car.
I know. That's the plan. So, if you see the hold-on bolt right there, I'm pointing about where Mitchell was saying to put it. So, either way, like I said, if I put it in there, it would work, but I'm going to use the tool. I'm going to turn it over until the tool fits, slide the old one out, put the new one back in, then we'll see where we're at.
How do you find top dead center?
You can't, because I even used your name, Nick, not in vain. I said you Googled it and everyone's complaining. We can't find it, it's all rusty. Ready?
No,
say that? What'd you say?
Wait, you're Jagoff.
Nick. But I can't see it, there's nothing there. There's the crank sensor, and there's the aluminum whatever. Where is it? What do you need?
An air horn.
Oh, that'd be great.
Drop your flashlight. Alright, I'm getting rid of the computer.
I don't know. It can't find it. It's down there somewhere. There's the tone ring. There's the...
You want me to paint it? And I'll say, yep.
But there's no mark on there. Everything's all rusty. But it lines up with a tooth, one of however many. So what? So we got this lined up now. And it's pointing the opposite way that Mitchell says. but the tool slides in and out real neat, nice and easy. So that's the way their tool lines it up, so let's throw the new one in. So if you're gonna do one of these, there's the Napa kit. Is that a Napa?
Mm-hmm.
Solutions.
Made by Dorman.
So that's the box, the part number. All right, it's back in. The arrow's pointing to where it lines up
2 o'clock.
with the hole, which is probably still that 38 degrees. It's just 180 degrees out. Now, as before, you can have the tool. As before, when you put it back in, my notch right there is not going to line up with that paint mark unless I turn the oil pump shaft and get it lined up perfectly. But what we're looking for is that little tab to be lined up in that window with the tool, and then the cam sensor will be in sync. So let's put this thing back together. Well, look at the amplitude difference. So it's running back in, and you can see I'm on the same scale, and now I'm pushing the 5 volts that I was expecting to see. So if we go back to this little tool here, and I put it on the glitch capture, or voltage peak mode where it's flashing. Same thing, if I put it on the battery, I have the 14.5, and then if I touch where I'm hooked up here and I hit the button, let me see if I can get on here a little bit better. You can see I'm in the 3.3, so I mean, it's just, you have to keep hitting it to find, it's just going to catch, I guess it's just going to catch peaks, you know what I mean? So if I hit it perfectly right, seems like I'm in the 3.5 range. Well, I guess whenever it's, right now it's about where it is. But watch, whenever I do this, when I am hitting this, I'm sending a signal through this computer wire here. So you can also cause glitches. See, every time I hit it, it does something. But I'm seeing now 3 volts. So I'm seeing double the voltage. Anyway, with it paused, you could see, 3.1 volts I'm seeing. So I'm seeing, there's 0, 1, 2, 3. So I'm seeing a little bit over 3. So I doubled the amplitude with the new sensor. So I'm happy with that, and pretty sure this code will be gone. So after all that, there you go. I appreciate you watching. Then for the Fords here, for final confirmation, you can do a key on engine running self-test, and it'll go to operating temperature or whatever, and it'll tell you to do a couple things, and it'll kind of go through itself. So I gotta hit the brake, turn the steering wheel. So unlike the GMs where you can go to DTC status and look for the specific code and see if it ran and passed, the Fords you can do the key on engine running test, and you'll see if there's any code. So we got, I don't have 4-wheel drive or a clutch. I guess there's an overdrive button. If I didn't take too long. I don't see one. I don't know. I don't see one. So, but if there is one, it would probably set a code for that. But you can see with the idle up high, my amplitude is awesome on this cam sensor. And like I said, it goes down to about 3 volts at a warmed up idle, which is double what I had. So when this is done, see what we got. And after it's done, you can see all I have is the P1000, which just I cleared the codes and the monitors aren't complete. So the cam sensor code didn't show up. Car is happy with it. So can wrap this one up and call it fixed. Thanks for watching.